Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of She Holds Her Keys. I'm your host, Riyanka Furi, and today I want to have a very honest conversation. Not a glamorous conversation, not a social media perfect conversation, a real conversation. Because over the last few years, I've noticed something. More and more people are talking about entrepreneurship. People talk about becoming your own boss. They talk about freedom. They talk about the passive income, about quitting the 9 to 5 job, and they talk about success. But no one actually talks about what it takes to build a business, the reality behind the scenes. The failures, the sacrifices, the doubts, the pressure, the moments when you're lying awake at night wondering if you've completely lost your mind. And today, I want to pull back that curtain. I want to share what becoming a business owner has really been like for me and my husband. Not just an entrepreneur, as a wife, a mom of 3 little girls, an immigrant, a type 1 diabetic, and someone who is trying to build a meaningful life while juggling all those things at the same time. If you're thinking about starting a business, or you already own one, or simply have a dream that you're trying to pursue, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned is nobody, and I mean nobody, is coming to save you. I know that sounds harsh, but it is the truth. When we moved from South Africa to Canada in 2019, we arrived with hope, dreams, and excitement. We wanted a better future, we wanted opportunities, and we wanted to create something meaningful for our family. But very quickly, I realized something. Nobody was going to hand us success. Nobody was going to build our future for us. Nobody was coming to knock on our door and offer us the life we wanted. If we wanted something different, we would have to create it ourselves. And that's what entrepreneurship entered the picture. The moment you become a business owner, excuses become expensive. You can't blame your boss. You can't blame your coworkers. You can't blame the economy. And you cannot keep on blaming the circumstances forever. At some point, you need to take ownership. And while that's intimidating, it's also incredibly empowering. Because once you realize you're responsible for your own future, you realize that you and only you have the power to change it. The second thing that nobody tells you is that freedom comes last, not first. Most people think entrepreneurship looks something like this. You start a business, you make money, you gain freedom, you live happily ever after. The end. No. What it actually looks like is this. You start your business, you make mistakes over and over again. You learn the lessons, you work harder than you've ever imagined. You questioned yourself repeatedly, but you grow as a person. And eventually, you earn your freedom. The truth is that when we started building our real estate business, there were many days when we felt like the business owned us. We were learning contracts, learning negotiations, learning marketing, learning systems, how to talk to sellers, how to talk to realtors, and how to build relationships with investors. We also learned how to raise capital, how to analyze our deals, and how to solve problems we never knew even existed. There were evenings spent working after the kids went to bed, weekends spent learning, hours spent watching training videos, hours spent making calls, hours spent making mistakes. People see successful entrepreneurs and assume they got lucky. What they don't see is the mountain of work underneath that success. Another lesson I've learned is that business exposes every weakness you have. I thought I was starting a real estate company. What I didn't realize was that I was starting a personal development journey. Entrepreneurship has a funny way of holding up a mirror in front of you. If you're impatient, it will show you. If you're fearful, it will show you. If you struggle with confidence, it will show you. If you procrastinate, it will show you. And if you compare yourself to others, it will most definitely show you. I remember seeing other investors doing deals and thinking, what am I missing? I remember wondering why things seemed easier for other people. I remembered questioning whether I was capable, whether I was smart enough, whether I was experienced enough, whether I belong in this industry. And if I'm being honest, those thoughts still show up sometimes. But I've learned something important. Confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence comes because of action. Every deal, every phone call, every difficult conversation, every challenge, those experiences slowly build confidence over time. Not because you become fearless, but because you prove to yourself that you can handle hard things. One of the hardest parts of this journey hasn't actually been business. It's been balancing everything else. Running a business is challenging. Running a business while raising three little girls is a completely different game. There are days when I'm making business calls while preparing meals. There are days when I'm answering messages while helping the girls get ready. There are days when one child needs attention, another child is crying, the phone is ringing, my blood sugar is acting up, and a deal needs immediate attention. Some deals feel beautifully organized, and other days it feels like complete and utter chaos. And here's something I want every mom listening to hear. You do not have to have everything figured out. You do not need a perfect schedule. You do not need the perfect balance because perfect balance doesn't exist. What exists is doing your best with what you have today. And some days your best will look different than others, and that is okay. As many of you know, I've also lived with type 1 diabetes since I was 11 years old. Entrepreneurship doesn't pause for diabetes. Business doesn't stop because your blood sugar is going low. Deals don't wait because you're tired. Responsibilities don't disappear because you're having a difficult day. And honestly, living with type 1 diabetes has taught me something that has helped tremendously in business: resilience. You learn very quickly that life isn't always convenient. You learn how to adapt. You learn how to keep moving forward even when things are not ideal. And you learn that consistency matters more than perfection. And those lessons has helped me enormously as an entrepreneur. My definition of success has also changed dramatically. When I first started, success looked like money. It looked like deals. It looked like properties. It looked like numbers. But today, success looks different. Success is having dinner with my family. Success is being present with my girls. Success is building something meaningful with my husband. And success is helping people solve problems. Success is creating opportunities. Success is inspiring other women to believe that they can do difficult things too. Do I still want financial success? Absolutely. But financial success alone is no longer enough. I want a life I'm proud of. I want a business I'm proud of. I want my daughters to grow up seeing what determination, faith, and perseverance looks like. As I wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with one final thought. If you're currently building something, please don't quit because it's hard. Hard doesn't mean you're failing. Hard means you're growing. Every entrepreneur you admire has doubted themselves. Every successful person has faced setbacks. Every meaningful dream comes with challenges. The people who succeed aren't necessarily the smartest. They're not always the most talented. Often, they're simply the people who kept going when quitting would have been easier. I've learned that entrepreneurship isn't really about building a business. It's about building yourself. The business is simply a tool. The real transformation happens within you. And when you become stronger, more resilient, more confident, and more capable, everything else begins to change too. So if you're tired today, keep going. If you're discouraged today, keep going. If you're wondering whether all the efforts is worth it, keep going. Because one day you'll look back and realize that the person you became during this journey was worth every single challenge that you faced. Thank you so much for spending the day with me. I truly appreciate every single one of you who listens, supports, shares, and follows along on this journey. If this episode resonated with you, please share with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, the goal isn't just to build a successful business, the goal is to build a meaningful life. Until next time, keep holding your keys, keep walking in faith, and keep creating the future that you have been called to build. Till next time. She's right.